Good evening, everyone. The time is now 6 p.m. I will call the August 25th, 2026 regular meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask if anyone wants to make public comment on any agenda item. Sir?
Art Olajeri, and I trust that Mr. Shaw will have some report on the ongoing ambiguity of the compensation for the new government supervisors. So am I allowed to talk?
Go ahead. I've been informed there will be a brief update on that. So.
Okay. I'm Art Olajeri. I was the Vice President of the Government Study Commission, and I just want to clarify what I just said about the salaries for the supervisors of the new government. When a Pennsylvania municipality transitions from its existing form of government to a council form of government, it's the responsibility of the sitting government body to establish compensation necessary to implement the new government effectively. The current supervisors are duly elected officials with the legal authority and fiduciary responsibility to govern the municipality during the transition. Pennsylvania law specifically places responsibility for the township's general governance, fiscal management, and the employment and compensation of personnel with the sitting board of supervisors. This responsibility should include establishing appropriate compensation for the incoming council members so that qualified individuals can be recruited and the new government can begin operating successfully. Most importantly, allowing the current supervisors to establish the salaries provides continuity, transparency, and fiscal accountability while preventing the incoming officials from setting their own initial compensation.
Okay. Anyone else have a comment on the any agenda item?
Sue Weber, 5338 Norris Drive. I see on number 8, you have new amended ordinance under review, stormwater ordinance amendments. When you get to that, I'm sure it will be just a report that you're looking at these things, but why and how are you amending the stormwater ordinance? And if you're proposing amendments, can the public see those now while you're studying them? Is there such a thing?
We don't know what the amendments will be yet.
I can't hear you.
We do not know what the amendments will be yet.
Who's proposing them?
They're being worked on by a group within the township.
Who proposed to amend the stormwater ordinance? What supervisor or what person?
I don't recall.
You don't know who that was?
I said I don't recall.
You don't recall, wait, you're working on stormwater ordinance amendments, but you don't know who proposed the amendments, you're saying? Someone had to have brought them forth. You're proposing to amend the stormwater ordinance, so someone had to have put that on the agenda, someone on the Board of Supervisors. Who was it? It had to be somebody. It couldn't be on the agenda unless one of the supervisors was proposing it. And what are they proposing? And can the public see what they're proposing? We have so much flooding in this township. If you're proposing to amend the stormwater ordinance, shouldn't the public know about that? Do you have something we can look at that you're studying? Well, do you? It's a simple question. Mr. Bach? Do you have something that you're working on amendments to the stormwater ordinance? Mm-hmm. Where is there a list of these amendments that you're studying and who is studying them and who proposed to amend the ordinance? Again, we have a lot of flooding in this township. People want to know that.
Right. My recollection, Mrs. Weber, was that our stormwater team, which is comprised of employees up in engineering, along with Matt Waldinger, were looking at making some updates to the provisions of that, but it's in the early stages, so we haven't I guess we haven't gotten to the point yet where there's really relevant information to share with anybody, is my
Thank you.
take.
Will there be public information before you vote on it? And are you proposing to make them less stringent than they are now? Or more stringent?
I can't,
That's just a simple,
I-
fair question.
I can't comment on what may or may not be proposed because I think it's a little premature for that.
Well, if you're proposing to amend the stormwater ordinance, you're proposing to make it less stringent or more stringent? Do you know what it is, which it is?
I've heard discussions on mirroring what is done on a state level as opposed to going with what has been in our local ordinance.
Well, it's my understanding that the DEP or the state doesn't have stormwater management restrictions, that's up to the township. So how would you mirror what they have if it's up to you? I could be wrong about that, but that's what I know about the DEP.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are requirements obviously through DEP, which filters down to us.
Okay.
And traditionally, our requirements have been more stringent.
Well, let me just say that I hope you're not easing your requirements. We have too much flooding in this township. That would be terrible.
Anyone else wish to comment on any agenda item? Okay, we'll move on to number 4, which is approval of the minutes from our August 11th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I will second.
I will call for a vote. Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Number 5, approval of bills.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I will second.
Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I vote yes. Number 6 is a public hearing on a subdivision and land development plans. First one is a replot of lands of Robert C. and Susan M. Ogilvy, small subdivision Plan A. Director Waldinger.
Thank you. Good evening. Yes, this is this is a subdivision plan to show the creation of a 696 square foot lot parcel A from 220 Clifton Drive, which is to become an integral part of 225 Beech Grove Drive, and also to show the creation of a 190 square foot parcel B from 220 Clifton Drive, which is to become an integral part of 221 Beech Grove Drive, which will result in a residual lot of 0.52 more or less acres located along the west line of Clifton Drive, north of Argyle Avenue in Tract 2. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, August 4th, the Mill Creek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this subdivision with the following requirements: that parcel A become an integral part of 225 Beech Grove Drive, and that parcel B become an integral part of 221 Beech Grove Drive. In addition, there are some drawing corrections that need to be made before the drawing can be released. Those include that the building line needs to be shown on the drawing, that the township index numbers need to be corrected, and that the dimensions for the entire parcel of 220 Clifton Drive be shown. So if the board does choose to recommend approval of this subdivision, I would ask that those corrections become part of the motion.
Okay, thank you. We'll open up the public hearing now on this matter. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on this replot of the lands, small subdivision Plan A? Anybody? Okay. Hearing no testimony, we will close the hearing and ask if there's any questions from the board on this matter.
It does look like there is some sort of back building there. Is that kind of just why we're moving the line back a little bit?
Are you talking about the parcel that is on Beech Grove Drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, lot 24. It appears as though maybe they may have built over the line or had a shed beyond the line. This would clean that up, and the new lines that are proposed would make that a legal structure. The setbacks would be correct in everything that we would require.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion on this with the stipulations and corrections as presented by Director Waldinger?
I will make a motion.
And I will second.
Okay, I have a motion for approval and a second. I'll call for a vote. Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Second is a land development plan for Project W. Director Waldinger.
Thank you. This is a land development plan to show the construction of 37 units and a clubhouse in 29 new buildings, along with associated private road improvements and stormwater facilities located along the south line of West Ridge Road, west of Asbury Road in Tract 313. At their regular meeting of Tuesday, August 4th, 2026, the Mill Creek Township Planning Commission recommended approval of this land development plan.
Okay, we'll open up the hearing on this matter. Sir, if you could state your name for the record. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Mike Sanford, 4721 Atlantic Avenue, and I'm the land surveyor that made the land development plan. And so if it's okay with you, I'll just go through a couple of brief highlights about the project. So we are seeking land development approval to construct some carriage homes and a clubhouse with associated stormwater facilities. The development area is on the southern side of a larger tax parcel that fronts on West Ridge Road. Driveway access to this project area would be an access easement from the adjoining property to the east. And the road configuration within this development, it'll be private, but it has been reviewed by the Township Fire Chief and found to be acceptable for fire apparatus. We do have the appropriately sized centerline radii and intersection radii that allow for maneuvering of emergency vehicles. The project will be served by public sanitary sewer, and it will be served by public water, and it will have new fire hydrants spread throughout the development per the requirements. We do propose 2 surface stormwater management ponds to address rate, volume, and quality. All the calculations have been provided to your township engineering's GPI for their review, and the ponds will be privately maintained. There are some wetlands present in and around the area being developed. They were delineated by a wetland professional, but there are no permanent impacts to any wetland on the project. The property does have one small water course in the southeast portion, which will remain to the maximum extent practical. We are getting a small permit to cross over that with our driveway. We get that permit from the Conservation District. So Erie County Planning completed their review. Your Planning Commission completed their review. We do have our NPDES and ENS permits submitted to the Conservation District. Those are being reviewed. Sewer plans, water plans, all plans are being reviewed by all the appropriate agencies. And so we do not have any variances or modifications being requested. So the plan complies with your ordinances, and we look forward to your approval.
Were you involved in a similar project in the recent past out there in the same area regarding, I think, the same type of construction?
You mean like a couple of carriage homes immediately east of it?
Yes, it would have been in the southern portion of the property.
To the east.
To the east, correct.
I'm aware of that project, but my company did not do that.
Okay.
Another consultant did it.
You weren't involved in that, okay. I was just wondering how close in proximity is this proposed expansion to that?
We're coming off, there's a drawing here if you want to see it, but
I have one on my computer.
yeah, basically we're coming off the end of that road, where that road ends, and those units were recently built in the last 5 years or so, coming off that road and then entering this vacant piece of land. So the driveway that comes off the end of that road will come in here. There won't be any units for the first few hundred feet because we're just getting the road into this 17-acre development, and then we'll begin the new carriage homes.
Okay, thank you. And Matt, what was the vote from the Planning Commission? Was it unanimous to approve?
Yes, according to this, it was.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I don't have any further questions.
Okay,
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak on this land development plan? You can come up to the podium. You could just state your name so our secretary, Megan, can...
My name is Fran Shames, And we are residents. That, you mentioned the houses that have been built recently within the last 5 years, and all of us live there. We would like to see, I don't know if this is the plan, is this it? Okay. Where this road he's talking about, our street ended in a, okay, let's see, we're over here?
Yeah, so these are the new homes. They weren't all complete when this aerial photo was taken. But here's the main.
Okay, so this is our street?
Yep.
This is our street?
Yes.
Okay. So where is this road, right?
Where,
Okay,
yeah.
but that road goes over, like you said, there's water under there, it's wetlands. I mean, that road ended, and then they put in this construction road. So during the construction, are all the trucks going to come up that road?
The construction road that was installed recently.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
the construction road to bring into this new development, so they won't have to come through where you live.
Right, but the construction road isn't that wide. You're talking about bringing in all these trucks. Okay. The second question is, where is the egress and the, I guess, to the houses once they're built? How far are they from here? Where are the houses? It's going to be over here. So the road is going to continue here? Is that it?
Correct.
Okay, so this is where they tore all the trees down, correct?
Yes.
Mileage-wise, which it isn't miles, how far is that from, let's say, the last house here, which would be Grace?
This dimension here is 140 feet, so from her home would be
175 feet.
Okay. Any of you? You're here. Come up there, because Grace lives in this last house here. Okay, so here's you. This is the road, you know where the road is, and it's going to be over here. And he said it's 138 feet.
Right.
But that's
That's the
from
property line.
property line.
So it's more to the unit, from unit to unit
You'd
would
be
be
long farther.
170, 175.
So, my name is Grace Wyckoff. I live in this last house.
Okay, Grace.
So when they come through, is this going to be a through road
Once the homes are built.
once the homes are built?
Yes, that's how these residents would get to their homes, would be by driving on this road.
Really? They don't have any other road for them to come
They
into?
don't have any other plan. I mean, we have people that live on that street that use walkers and wheelchairs. There are no sidewalks.
Right.
Correct. I do agree there's no sidewalks.
Yes.
Okay, well, that was one of the questions that came up in a larger general meeting with the sidewalks. There are no sidewalks at all right now in St. Mary's, okay? And I assume there are no intention to build sidewalks here?
Correct. We want to
Okay.
mimic this over here, this same look, no sidewalks, the
Yes,
same.
but they realize most of us are older people, and as Grace said, there's wheelchairs, there's walkers, people go out for walks. I mean, they're going to be in the middle of the street, and now you're adding 29 buildings that they're going to come through our block. And
You're
people always
making
come up here and
our
walk.
our street a throughway, basically.
Right.
Now these, they're not really mimicking this because these are all individual neighborhoods.
Like circles, kind of.
See
yeah.
that? So,
Semicircles.
and this is an individual, and ours was an individual neighborhood. But there's no plan to put a road anywhere here. All that traffic is going to have to come through our street.
That's the way we're planning it, yes.
Okay, but nowhere else in here is it planned that way. So you're not mimicking what was there.
No, you're not.
And then we're mimicking the unit style and no sidewalks.
Yes, we know that, well, I understand the unit style, and I understand the no sidewalks, even though we may not agree with it. But you are not, by putting this, leaving this road here, and after they're built, letting them come through this way, you're creating all that traffic. That isn't how these are built. These were not built like that.
I can certainly
Yeah,
understand.
I understand, yeah.
Do you have a solution?
This is the plan we drew up because there's a wetland here.
Right.
I understand
But the
that.
wetland is right under this
Yeah,
road, that's what we're
because
saying.
it's
How's it
right
making
here.
it a construction road?
And I know that because I live right here.
There is actually not a wetland here. We have a professional design
delineate the wetland, which is right here in the shape, right
Okay,
here.
but there is water under, isn't there? There's water under there
Well-
before it was road.
Okay, ma'am, if you could go back up to the podium and just, so we can hear you and just kind of,
There is
if you
water
have specific questions for any of us, go ahead, but we want to kind of keep this moving.
under that road, when that used to end there. And there was a big wall, not a wall, like a fence kind of with rocks down. But there was water under there. Now you put a road in there.
I can tell you it's not a wetland, and I know that they put some culverts in to get the
Water
rainwater
out?
through
Okay.
under the roadway. We didn't block any water, we put the culverts in to keep the drainage
And
drained.
it's still going to stay as narrow as it is, the construction road.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, 'cause
okay, will that be closed after the construction?
that's our plan, yes.
And the only way they're going to come in is through our block?
Through our
Yes,
neighborhood.
that's our
Right.
plan.
And none of the other homes are like that there?
No,
Right, that's our plan.
that's
Okay.
not a very good
How-
plan for safety's sake.
No. I mean, they should have, originally we were told they were going to be further down the homes, and I don't mind the homes being there at all. But, like I said, there's old people with walkers, people walk up there all the time. Because it used to be nobody, not too many people there.
Because it was like the other neighborhoods, enclosed little neighborhoods. But now our street is going to be a through street. And that's just for safety's sake, that's just not a good idea.
Not when you're building so many new buildings.
Did you folks speak at the Planning Commission meeting by chance, or
We have no idea.
voicing your same concerns?
We were told that there was not a plan.
Right. LECOM told us no plan, and we said you don't cut down 900 trees and have no plan.
Well, I meant
Finally, it was on
yeah,
TV.
I meant the Planning Commission meeting. When was that meeting, Matt?
August 4th.
August 4th. And, okay.
Let me
Matt,
ask you a
I
question.
have a question for Mr. Waldinger. Do we send out letters to the homeowners in the area
Say that.
to let them know about the planning commission?
We send letters to the property owner. The property owner in this case is
LECOM.
LECOM
You
at
see, that's
Asbury
the
Ridge. It's a community, and so the property owner was notified of the.
They technically own our houses.
Right.
LECOM owns our houses. And I was going to say that. I mean, I'm new to Pennsylvania. We lived in New Jersey. But if there was building like that, if you were within 200 feet of that building, you had to be notified by the planning board. In this case, I understand it because it's the same person who owns our property is building there, so they can do what they want. But that's not really fair to the rest of the people that live there. I mean, we should have been made aware of these dates when the planning meeting was meeting.
Mr. Sanford, I do see that there's another building in front, I guess to the north of where they're planning to build. Do you know, at some point in the future, are they planning to make any access from that side?
No, we don't have any plan for that.
Okay.
Where, I don't know,
I
what
think she's
building?
talking about the mother house.
She's talking about the
And that's what we always thought.
that there is an entrance from 26th Street through there.
Through there, that's wider than where this road is, this construction road that they have right now. And I know they should have probably been at the planning board, but we weren't aware.
We weren't aware.
And I really would like to know, at this point, do we still have any opportunity to have a say in the because with respect to anything?
This is your opportunity. This is
Okay.
it.
Well, when we're finished speaking, you will vote on it, and that'll be it,
When,
I guess.
when the hearing is closed, we will take action of some sort.
Anybody else have anything to say? Oh, good. Where is he from? No, because he's probably.
Are you folks done?
If it's okay.
Okay, go on.
We- Okay, we have someone else wishing to speak on the matter.
So I'm Mike Redlawsk, I'm with JPI Development Partners. We do development work in this region, but also in about 14 other states. So we've been around a long time, about 45 years. We've been involved in the senior living business as well. what we're dealing with, this is a senior living community. This is CCRC. And it's owned by LECOM now. It used to be St. Mary's. So he talked about it as Project W just because it's the west side. So, but essentially the folks with their concerns, I understand they may have concerns with anything new. This development really does mirror their development. It looks the same. It's, the roads are the same. And I get what they're saying. They don't want to see any more cars driving through their neighborhood. But that was, sure.
There's a main road, and then they have like that circles with maybe 6, 8 houses on it.
And some of them connect, and they all go through, and you could drive through them. Yeah, it's a, I understand.
Okay, let
Completely.
Mr. Redlosk have his time at the podium, okay?
So the plan always was to potentially grow that way. So prior to LECOM owning that property, it was originally sponsored by the Sisters of St. Joseph. As you know, their mother house is on the property that we're talking about. So they were separate parcels. So St. Mary's and the Sisters' mother house all got sold together, essentially, but they're separate parcels. That's why there's a separate name, Mill Creek Manor on the one side, and you know the St. Mary's Asbury Bridge. So the water and sewer lines are all stubbed there. So where they're talking about, they bought in the last, I imagine, in the very last piece, but they don't buy these units. They put a deposit that's refundable. So the issues they have with management or concerns with community issues is their communication with the management. They can talk to them about all of that kind of thing. We're here because we have a land development plan that's in keeping with the township ordinance. It's in keeping with all the ordinances. There's no variances needed. We're not looking for anything special. This is just a continuation so we can provide additional housing for seniors in Mill Creek. And so it's the number of homes is very similar to the number of homes they have currently in the neighborhood. Everyone's a senior, it's restricted community. So when you talk about safety, and we would hope that management cares a lot about that, whether they provide van transportation or any other services throughout the community, those are all really good points to talk about, and whether there's areas to walk and you know, safely transit are really good things to talk. We ran senior communities for years, so having the residents talk about those kinds of things are great. But this venue is about approval of the township. Do we meet the township requirements? And are we building something that's good for the township? We think so. And it's good for St. Mary's. It's good for the residents because there's more residents to help pay for things and keep their costs down and that kind of thing. So that's, I'm available for more questions. I don't want to keep you, but just wanted to point out some of those things.
Okay. Any questions for this speaker?
I do have a question for Mr. Waldinger. Does this land development plan meet all parts of our saldo?
Yeah, it has been reviewed, and yes, it does meet all parts. There were no recommendations or requirements on the part of the Planning Commission, and it was recommended for approval by my department.
So we are legally bound because it fits all of the
It meets all the requirements of our ordinance, that's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
And under the case law that has developed under these types of ordinances, if a proposed plan meets all the requirements, the township really doesn't have a basis to deny the plan. If they deny the plan, Mr. Redloss would go to court, he'd appeal, he'd win, we'd lose. And so, you know, at this stage, because it meets all the requirements, supervisors effectively don't have a choice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So what I asked you before, was that correct? Because we technically do not own those houses. That's why we don't have to be notified when they're building within a certain amount of
That's
feet?
correct. We notify, and we're not mandated in Pennsylvania to notify anyone, but it's always been our policy that we notify all property owners within 400 or 500 feet of a development, which
They're the
we did
only
in this
ones.
case,
Leaf
but
Club's the only ones
you
within
know,
400 or
and
500.
the same thing happens sometimes with rental properties. It would be on the owner, the landlord, to share that with the tenants, and you would hope that they would, but I'm sorry that that didn't happen in this case.
I will say I've been in your community recently. I had some mail accidentally sent to my address and I went and delivered it. And that was the first time I had been in your development. And it is absolutely beautiful there. Little slice of heaven. And so close to Wegmans. I said so close to Wegmans. Yes.
Candy Horn from
Yeah.
Mill Creek Township. So this is the land that's bought or purchased by Lecom? Yes, no? Why are we calling it Project W?
Mr. Redlosk addressed that a few minutes ago. He said because it's stands for west,
Okay.
west side.
And so Lecom is probably above Gannon in not paying taxes, payment in lieu of taxes. So the funding and everything is going to come back on the taxpayers because they don't pay taxes. Am I correct?
They do pay taxes on this property.
Lecom is going to pay taxes. They're already paying it now.
Yes, they're not paying taxes, I believe, on the small section that the sisters are living on right now. But the rest of that is not under the pilot, which is that payment in lieu of taxes. We do have an agreement with Lecom, and it's 50% of the tax rate on any of their hospital properties.
I kind of thought it odd because you made this announcement a month ago about you were looking at the ordinance to approve it, and it hadn't been approved yet, and I was on a Tuesday. Thursday on TV, I see they're breaking ground, they cut the trees before they even got approved. Am I missing something? That's just a comment. That's all I have to say.
Who was that? Who was that? I'm sorry, Candy.
They were not approved. You did not pass the thing until August 4th, but after the meeting in July, 2 days after the meeting, I see on TV where they're clearing it. Why would you clear it if you didn't have approval? Why would you cut the trees down if you didn't have approval?
I don't know.
I'm just...
Oh, you can answer that? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, come on up.
Come on back up because I have a question for you after you're
We
done
should give you a
answering.
microphone.
I'll leave and let you talk.
Oh, thank you. First of all, when they chose to clear the trees because it was winter and it's the best time to clear the trees. And we don't need, well, the township doesn't give approval for people to cut their trees. There are requirements with the conservation district when you're doing land development, meaning after we approval and you start pushing dirt around and moving that. They merely log the site, which helped, and that helped them in terms of getting it prepared. But there's no, the stumps are still there. The whole thing is just about essentially getting the logs out that would be in the way and be moved later.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
So I know there was a concern raised by maybe some of the adjoining property owners as far as like a buffer or something like that. Has that been addressed?
We have one neighbor who's here in the audience.
Okay.
The other neighbors completely agree that this is a great project. And full disclosure, we have ownership of property to the south, and they've provided hundreds of feet of buffer around that property on purpose. So,
Okay.
So we're satisfied. Mike's a neighbor on the other side a little bit.
Okay, you've satisfied all the adjoining neighbors. Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this matter?
Good evening to everyone. Michael Giuliano, and I am one of the neighbors for this development. Initially, I had a concern. I have a private residence there that's very private and so forth. with the wood lines and the amount of property that is owned. And I was initially concerned with, as you develop around there, the views that typically would take place maybe 6 or 7 months out of the year when the leaves fall. And so if I can I approach? Can I share?
Sure.
So, Chairman, as you made mention a couple minutes ago about a previous development that occurred a couple of years ago that was really under the control and management of St. Mary's. That was the property that was directly north of my property line. And unfortunately, a gentleman's agreement didn't really see through. And so there was really not a vegetative buffer per se that would allow that to remain private, if you will, or not visible during the winter months, maybe 6 to 7 months out of the year. So as I saw this new development occurring, I reached out to the developer who's here, Mike Redlosk, and I just wanted to publicly thank Mike tonight for him and his team, because they've worked with me on a nice plan to put together a nice vegetative buffer at the right time so that this large development that's occurring would remain and keep my property private, so that you wouldn't see, similar to the pictures of what I've shown you, with maybe 29 additional buildings there. So I'm thankful that I've been able to work with Mike as a developer and the builder, Tim Schaff, and all their folks, and we're going to come together and put together a nice plan. So with that, I'm thankful, and I just wanted to share that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks. Is there anyone else that would like to comment on this land development plan? Okay, hearing no further comments, we'll close the hearing and ask if there's any discussion or a motion on this from the board.
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. I'll call for a vote. Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I vote yes on this. Number 7 on our agenda is ordinance 2026-8. Attorney Shaw.
Yes, before you is ordinance 2026-8, which amends Chapter 137, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 11, brake retarders of the Mill Creek Township Code. This would prohibit the use of brake retarders on State Route 5 between Asbury Road and Millfair Road. The township and Fairview Township had received complaints about the use of brake retarders on State Route 5. In accordance with the PA Motor Vehicle Code, PennDOT was consulted regarding this request to prohibit brake retarders, and PennDOT approved the prohibition. Restriction would become effective upon the installation of the required signs. The ordinance also restructures sections 137-59 and 137-60 of the existing code to clarify that the existing restrictions on West 38th remain in place and that there are new restrictions on State Route 5. Recommendation would be to approve this ordinance.
Any questions or comments on this ordinance?
Yes, so for this, do we know what portion of Route 5 is it that they're restricted?
From Asbury Road to Millfair Road, and then I believe there's also a section within Fairview Township that's covered by an ordinance that they would pass.
Okay. And then was this driven by a specific complaint or issue that was going on?
Yes, it was. There was at least one resident, and there may have been more, that have complained about what traditionally is termed the Jake brake.
Yes.
And due to that fact, Fairview started the process and then contacted us if there was an interest in doing our portion. So that's when we concurrently reached out to PennDOT, and they did their study for both portions, the Mill Creek portion and the Fairview portion. And their consensus, their report results were that it did qualify for the brake retarder prohibition. So.
And do we know in that report, did they look at, like, there were no major crashes or anything along there, that this wouldn't pose a safety problem?
I don't know the exact specifics of their report. We only got a summary that it did meet their requirements, but it didn't have a breakdown of every single, aspect of their study. Yeah, I believe there's one other area in the township that has this prohibition, and that is on West 38th Street, I believe, as Attorney Shaw may have stated. From
We've got Asbury to Zook.
yeah, Asbury to Zook. So, yes, and then it's incumbent on the respective police departments, our police department and the state police in Fairview to handle enforcement of this prohibition.
Mr. Chairman, am I correct in stating that the reason that these Jake brakes are a problem are because of the unmuffled systems within their vehicle? They're loud, machine gun-like noises?
It's mainly the noise. Yes,
Okay.
that's the primary.
Okay.
Yes, that's the primary complaint
Okay.
in close proximity to residential neighborhoods.
Okay, okay. And this keeps the heavier traffic, those larger vehicles from being readily using these residential roads, correct?
They're still permitted to use the roadway itself. They just can't deploy their
Okay.
the brake retarder function in that stretch.
Got it.
And there will be signage put up. Jeff Tenney from our traffic department will be installing the appropriate signage per PennDOT regulations. They have to be in certain areas, certain distances.
Okay.
That will be after, assuming it's approved tonight.
Okay. Well, with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you.
Now a second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I vote yes. Number 8 on our agenda, we have some new amended ordinances under review. Attorney Shaw.
Yes, continue looking towards finalizing the saldo. As mentioned earlier, there are stormwater ordinance amendments that we're working with the Township Engineering and Planning and Development Departments to review and update the Township's stormwater management ordinance. And then there are also zoning ordinance amendments that I believe are pending. Matt, I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
Okay, number 9, we have Resolution 2026-R28. Attorney Shaw.
Yes, before you is Resolution 2026-R28 to approve the disposal of certain municipal records maintained by the police department that are reaching the end of their retention period under the Municipal Records Manual. The police department records to be disposed of include MVR BWC footage that includes test recordings through July 8th of 2026, traffic stops through June 9th of 2026, incident only in special circumstances through September 7th of 2024, and case report, arrest report, SRR unknown types through September 7th of 2006. The recommendation would be to approve this resolution.
Now I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I vote yes on this resolution. Number 10 on our agenda, we have some personnel requests. The first one is from Public Works, new hire, fire maintenance mechanic. I'll handle this one. This comes from our administration department. It's part of Public Works. Name is Dylan Vanderhoof. He is a fire maintenance mechanic. The date of hire is actually today,
Yesterday.
August 25th, 2026, at a rate of $29.10 per hour. Dylan currently worked for the city of Corey as a fire diesel mechanic for the past 8 years. He has a CDL Class B and a Class 7 inspection license, along with the EVT certification. Any questions or comments on the hiring of the new fire mechanic?
No, but, oh, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the hire.
And I will second.
I have a motion and a second. Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Next, we have in the fire department a new hire for a fire department clerk. Supervisor Clear?
Yes, this is a retroactive hire in the fire department. Our new fire department clerk is Leanne Higley. The date of hire is 8/24 of 2026 at a rate of $21.77 per hour. Leanne currently most recently worked at Social Services and as an administrative assistant for the last 3 years. Prior to that, she held the reception position. In her current position, she is detail-oriented, demonstrates professionalism, and able to multitask. She is to maintain a high level of confidentiality in regards to HIPAA. She has knowledge of purchase orders and invoices and has a strong working knowledge of computer systems and programs. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve Leanne Higley as the fire department clerk.
And I will second.
I'll call for a vote. Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I vote yes. Number 11 on our agenda, we have some training requests. The police department has 3. Supervisor Clear is the liaison. Would you like to handle that? And you can handle all those at once.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first training request is the PA Commission on Crime and Delinquency. PCCD is hosting their annual Crisis Intervention Team Conference from October 26th through October 27th in Hershey, PA. The conference is intended for crisis co-responders and police social workers with a focus on emerging trends, proven practices, and innovative approaches in crisis response. Chief Mook is seeking approval to send our police crisis co-responder, Evan Daly, to this conference. There is no tuition cost. Travel-related costs are $338 for a 2-night hotel stay, $200 for per diem, and an estimated $50 in fuel, travel by department vehicle. Total costs are $588. The second request from Chief Mook, the PA State Police are hosting an event data recorder technician training course from October 1st through October 2nd in State College, PA. The training is needed for proper utilization of Bosch crash data recorder equipment during the course of an in-depth traffic crash investigation. The equipment was purchased as a part of the Economic Development Grant to Mill Creek Township this year. Chief Mook is requesting approval for Corporal Schallenberger and Patrolman Kindle to attend this training. There are no tuition costs. The lodging is $290, 1 room, 2 nights, per diem $74 a day for $296 total. Fuel costs are estimated at $70. Total travel costs are $656 and will come out of budget line item 44090. The Economic Development Grant provided funding for the $625 toward this training. And the third training request, the Erie County DA's office has requested that we send a representative to the International Association of Human Trafficking Investigators Conference, September 1st through September 3rd in St. Petersburg, Florida. The conference will cover the investigative and interview techniques and other role-specific training for law enforcement. Human trafficking is a trending focus for local police, and the DA has established locally a human trafficking task force. Chief Mook is seeking approval to send Corporal Juka to this conference. The DA's office is covering the costs of the course registration, hotel, rental car, and airfare. The cost to the township is only the per diem cost of $360 coming out of budget line item 44090. And with that, I will go ahead and make a motion to approve those 3 training requests.
And I will second.
Not right now, sir.
Sir, I believe that the initial training request for the $50 in fuel is with travel by department vehicle, and so there is a mileage component. There's mileage for so much per mile that that we are bound to I guess, yes. And so that's why it is different between that one and the other one.
I respect your question, and I understand exactly what you're saying, having made trips to both places numerous times. For one thing, this request from the chief does say estimated, so the fuel costs are estimated at 50 and 70 respectively. And also, I would assume it does depend on what vehicle they take. If they take one of the SUV vehicles as opposed to one of the sedans or Equinoxes, whatever depending on what vehicle they take as far as the mile, getting the specific mileage. Does that answer your? No, absolutely not. Nope, not a blank check. Okay, thank you. Good question, actually. Okay.
Sorry, and I did make a motion to approve those 3
Okay.
trainings. And
In a second.
okay.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I vote yes. We have another training request from Planning and Development. Director Waldinger.
Yes, thank you very much. I am requesting permission to attend the 2026 Pennsylvania chapter of the American Planning Association Conference to be held from Sunday, October 18th through Tuesday, October 20th in Bethlehem, PA. This would include a 3-night stay at the conference hotel, which is the Wind Creek Bethlehem. Travel would be by Planning and Development Department vehicle. Early bird registration for the full conference for chapter members is $400. Hotel stay is $567 and per diem is $259 for a total of $400 in training expenses and $826 in travel expenses. This is a budgeted event for 2026 and the funds will be taken from the Planning and Development's training and travel line items respectively.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I vote yes on this training request. Number 12 is a financial security reduction. Director Waldinger.
Thank you. The developer for the project located at 5942 Peach Street, Mahar Afraz Real Estate LLC, is requesting a reduction in financial security. The present amount of security being held by the township is $114,400. They are requesting a reduction to $18,150, which would be a release of $96,261 back to the developer. In front of you is a form signed by Township Engineer Rob Rodemoyer confirming that they have completed work in the stated amount and that the amount that needs to be retained is $18,150. And so at this point, we would recommend release of Bank of America check number 627-680-2810 to be reduced to the amount of $18,150.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I will second.
Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Number 13, communications, general communications. I'll provide a brief update on the administrative code writing process. Mill Creek Township has completed the initial draft framework of the administrative code. The draft will be circulated to the executive administration team within the township, the supervisors, as well as the solicitor for comments. After comments are made by the internal team, Mill Creek Township intends to circulate the initial draft framework of the administrative code to the Transition Advisory Committee on September 2nd. Mill Creek Township supervisors plan to meet with the Transition Advisory Committee at 6 o'clock on September 3rd before the TAC public meeting to answer any initial questions. After that, the Transition Advisory Committee can provide feedback on the draft township code. Any other general communications? Anyone else have anything further? Treasurer communications.
I just did want to announce that we did receive our draft copy of the audited financial statements for 2025. I have forwarded them on to supervisors. I have also reviewed them, and the CPA will be finalizing them and sending me back our final statements. And if the Board of Supervisors so choose, with everybody's schedules, I'm hoping to get that scheduled for the end of September for a formal presentation and for formal approval. And once that occurs, then we can post them on the township's website. Just very general, we were issued a clean opinion. There were no findings, there were no corrections, and basically our general fund balance was increased by $649. That's it.
This was conducted by?
Zelianowski Axelrod, LLC.
From the Pittsburgh area.
They are from the Pittsburgh area, yes.
Okay, thank you for that update. We held executive sessions on August 17th and 20th to discuss litigation matters related to code enforcement, right to knows, constitutional issues, and state court litigation. Also, real estate matters related to easements and parks and rec facilities, personnel matters related to public works and fire department and the police department, and also public safety matters related to the fire department and the police department. Anything further under solicitor communications?
Yes, I am still waiting to hear back from whether the AG's office would offer an opinion on the council stipend issue that was discussed at prior meetings, and that was raised by Mr. Olagieri earlier at this meeting. I would like to point out that Section 3163 of the option government law says officials elected prior to transition year. Quote, the annual compensation of the executive and council members elected to their offices in the year prior to the transition year under any of the optional plans adopted pursuant to this subpart shall be established by the commission as part of its recommendations. That's the part I have concern about. It doesn't say shall be by the prior Board of Supervisors. It says shall be by the commission. So that's my concern.
Okay, so we're still waiting to hear from the Attorney General's office.
Whether they would be willing to offer an opinion.
Okay.
As a municipality, I'm not sure they will be. They typically just do government agencies, so I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay, thank you. Okay. At this time, if Director Waldinger would like to be dismissed, he's certainly free to do that. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate your time tonight. Okay, number 14 on our agenda is citizens to be heard. We have, on my agenda, we have 3 citizens that registered prior to the meeting for their 5-minute maximum allotment to speak. First one is Art Olagieri.
Can I ask Mr. Shaw what section that was that you had just stated?
3163A.
And that was in the state code or the?
Yeah, it's in the state statute.
The state statute?
Statute.
Okay. At the last meeting, after establishing the validity of Mill Creek's legal fees in relation to other like-sized townships, Mrs. Clear made a statement indicating that these like-sized townships actually spent more on their respective governments than Mill Creek did in operating their respective governments. You know, some people might believe that. You're very convincing. But for the record, and once again, this is from the DCED, and the last reporting year, the like-sized townships, beginning with Middleton, the cost to run the general operation of their government was $3 million. Lower Paxton was 1.4, and Mill Creek's cost was almost 6 million, 5.9 million. That's twice, it's twice the, the like-sized townships. In 2023, Middletown's cost was 1.5 million, Lower Paxton's cost was 2.7 million, and Mill Creek's cost was 4.4 million. In 2022, Middletown's cost was 2.6 million, Lower Paxton's was 1.4 million, and Mill Creek's was 6.7 million. Over the past 3 most recent years, Middletown's cost to run their government was $7.1 million. Lower Paxton's was 5.5, and Mill Creek's was 17 million. The corresponding legal fees were $558,000, $342,000, and $2 million for Mill Creek. Once again, these numbers are the actual numbers these townships report to the DCED under total general government. They are not cherry-picked, as Mrs. Clear has suggested. At past meetings, I seem to have put the entire blame on the solicitor. In reality, the responsibility lies with our current leaders, the sitting supervisors, who have relied on the solicitor for the township's day-to-day management. They have failed to distinguish between decisions they can make independently and matters that require legal counsel. Several examples illustrate this problem. When the Government Study Commission interviewed supervisors, an administrative matter, not a legal proceeding, one supervisor insisted that the solicitor be present. The commission was not investigating a crime or handling a legal dispute. Similarly, another supervisor stated that they would not sign anything Attorney Shaw had not reviewed. Another supervisor confirmed that employees routinely call Attorney Shaw, reflecting a culture that has developed over the years. A detailed review of the legal bills support this pattern. A review of Mill Creek's legal bills also shows that the township solicitor performs work that is actually something the supervisor should be doing in the daily management of the township without the need for legal counsel. These examples show that the supervisors lack the government experience and training needed to determine which matters require legal counsel and which can be handled through the ordinary management of the township. This is not the fault of the solicitor, it's the fault of the supervisors. This is why over the past 6 years, Mill Creek Township has spent $3 million more, not $3 million, $3 million more in legal fees than the other like-sized townships in Pennsylvania. All of these figures are available from the DCED. Nothing is cherry-picked. Once again, I request that the legal services should be opened up for a bid for the 2027 fiscal year. Although this might not solve the problem entirely until we have supervisors that can distinguish between decisions they can make independently and matters that truly need legal counsel. On a secondary question, why isn't this meeting being televised on YouTube? Why don't a lot of people actually watch these meetings, although they can't come? I don't see a camera.
To my knowledge, it's being broadcast.
Is it?
I was told before the meeting it was.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
being,
you-
yeah.
You have a
it's being-
camera right there? You have a camera right there?
It's still being broadcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're no longer utilizing WQLN
Okay.
for
Thank you.
that, but it's being broadcast.
Thank you.
That's what I was told before the meeting.
All right. Thank you
I
for
have
the
a few questions for
clarification, Mr. Bach.
Mr. Alighieri.
Yes.
Mr. Alighieri, do you know the difference between a primary source and a secondary source?
Would you like to Yes, I do. Would you like to detail what you're
No,
getting
go ahead.
at?
Go ahead. What is the difference between a primary source and a secondary source?
A primary source would probably be the more authoritative source, and a secondary source would be maybe basically it's self-explanatory, a secondary source. The primary source in the situation that I just discussed was the DCED,
Okay.
which you report.
So I've never just, just for the record, I have never disparaged the DCED or their numbers. You are speaking from DCED, which is a secondary source. You are getting your information from a secondary source, a second-hand source. My information that I get is from the actual township budget line item. You can go into, and I'm not sure if you've been able to go into these townships that you're speaking of, Middleton and Lower Paxton. There are line items for administration and the cost for only administration. And there are also line items within the budget, you have to search for them, for legal fees. That's a primary source. It is produced by the township, not secondhand, which is inferior information. So the information that I have given is actually from a primary source. What I am trying to explain to you and many other people that are claiming that our legal fees are astronomically high and everyone else's are so low is that the work is being done. It's being done not by a solicitor, but by the many employees that they are having to pay. You're paying for the work to be done, no matter what. And actually, they're paying more than what Mill Creek is paying. When you add up the amount of people that they hire to do the work that is being done, when you add that to the pension costs for the employees that you have, all of that, and healthcare, just you can keep going with the amount of costs that this costs a township. You are trying to say that Mill Creek is doing something nefarious, that we are wrong in the way we are doing it. We are doing it one way. The other township is doing it another way. They don't have people on staff that are lawyers. They are having a lawyer peruse something maybe afterward, but they are still paying the price. They are still, at the end of the day, they are employing people to do the work that we have our solicitor do. So when I am saying that the administrative costs for these townships are that much more than what we are paying, it is because it would be as if the 3 supervisors hired another 5, 6 people to do the work that we pay Solicitor Shaw to do. So at the end of the day, I guess I'm failing to understand all of these accusations that are frankly a year old by now. I guess I don't understand what you're not understanding. It's being paid for by a municipality in a different way. And actually, they're spending more on administration and legal fees than we are.
Why is Mill Creek Township and other like-sized townships sending figures that are not true figures?
I think that they're sending very true figures, but I want to know what numbers are going into their figures. Are they accounting for the decision makers, the people that are actually doing the work? And $6 million on behalf of being reported to DCED to run the government probably includes the treasurer, human resources. It probably includes payroll, and that's not what's being considered here in quote administration and administrative costs. Again, you don't know what all those numbers are that are being added together to report to DCED.
That is on the
But if you go to the primary source, and then you can find out. And as you stated to me earlier, that is where the real information would come from, not secondary.
Certainly in 5 minutes, I don't have time to detail an entire P&L it comes from the DCED. What I'm concerned about is that you think that Mill Creek and the other like-sized townships are not sending correct figures to the DCED.
I didn't say they didn't send correct. I just don't know what's in their calculation. I'm not going to try to say that I know what's in their calculation. I do know that Middleton spends $840,000 on their administrative costs and $289,000 on their legal fees. which add up to more than what Mill Creek Township spent in the same year in 2024.
They have a breakdown, and different accountants do it
Again,
in different.
don't go to DCED though, is what I'm telling you. I'm sure that I don't know what's going into their calculation. Go to the budget, look at the line items, add them up. That's all I'm suggesting.
They do have a breakdown of various categories. I find it very surprising that you think what they're doing is wrong.
I didn't say wrong, I said different. It's not a yes or no. It's not you're right and you're wrong. And there, I don't know that there is a right way or a wrong way. But for you to come up here and try to tell us what you think the right way is when you've never served one day in government is frankly preposterous.
Have you taken Basic Accounting 1?
I didn't hear you. Pardon me?
Have you taken Basic Accounting 1?
Actually, yes, I have.
Good. Then you should have some understanding.
I also oversaw a $500 million budget at the county.
Then you would understand that in any P&L, different accountants will have a different grouping of expenses.
Yes.
And the expenses that I looked at, and I didn't have time to bring down the entire balance or P&Ls and compare it to the like-sized townships, but theirs was general government running the general government operations. That seemed to be an all-inclusive.
General. Again, you're giving me a secondhand source, and I don't deal in secondary sources.
Claire,
I deal in primary sources.
I disagree that they're a secondhand source.
Sure. Okay.
I disagree with that. I'm sure
All right,
that
Mr.
they would
Chairman,
be
I'm done.
very interested to know that you think that they are not a primary source when it's you and the other townships that report figures directly to them. I don't think it's my job to have to go through and look at the various categories. I just looked at the general government spending, the general operations of the township. And those numbers are out of line. Mill Creek's numbers are out of line.
Okay. Thank you, Art. Appreciate your time. We have another speaker. Candy Horm is next.
Okay, my name's Candy Horm, as you all know. I want to bring up some things about our fire department. Bell Valley, they support the original vision for the paid fire department, which was created to supplement the volunteers. However, that mission has changed, and the department has expanded beyond that mission, creating friction, animosity, and uncertainty about the future of the volunteers. Public safety comes first, and I kind of don't understand how you are covering the township when, like, you have Westridge up off Sterretania. What area are they covering? Do they go the whole way to Bell Valley for a medical? You know, because Bell Valley, I don't believe they have a medical. And so the Bell Valley people, the volunteers, they want a system where the paid firefighters and the volunteers work together cohesively. That's not happening right now. And I think a lot of this friction is being caused by how the fire department is run. They've served this community since 1938, so that's almost 100 years, 90-some years. And they just want the volunteer firefighters to continue to be able to serve. Now, I have a question. You had a request for a mechanic, which you approved for the fire trucks. Bell Valley has two of their own mechanics. They're a volunteer service. They have someone that's retired from PennDOT and another person that works at PennDOT that are able to do that. How did the other departments function? Who fixed their fire trucks before you went to paid fire?
You're asking who fixed the volunteer?
Who fixed, before we became a paid fire department, who did the mechanical work on the trucks? Did you have a paid mechanic?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
The volunteer departments contracted with their own mechanic. before we had a Mill Creek Township Fire Department.
Right, so it just seems to me that would be a better way to run that. And I also have a question. Well, I want to make a comment about the officer at the donut shop, okay? I know there are a lot of people that believe that person, both officers, acted unprofessionally. And unless you have walked in their shoes, unless you have gone to a bar fight where there's 2 of you and 15 of them, or you've done crowd control where there's 10 of you and 200 of them, unless you have notified somebody that their loved one isn't coming home, to try and correct somebody who showed great restraint at this incident with this guy. I believe he worked for Maytag because he was nothing but an agitator. All he wanted to get his face out there on YouTube. And these officers showed great restraint. And I believe if they get spanked or written up, shame on you, because a lot of these men and women, they come to work not knowing if they're going to come home alive to their family. And they risk their lives just like the firefighters. So I wanted to make that comment. And I also want to ask you about your comments last week about your figures. You said, first you said you run Mill Creek on 270 thou, then you said 275. Maybe one of you guys aren't getting paid. I don't know. You make 180, you make 88.8 something a year. With bennies, it's 122 something. Multiply that times 3, that's over 270. I'm not good at math, but it doesn't add up, okay? And then I also want to know, why have we not done an RFP? Any comments? Because you, Ms. Morris, are on the transition team. You shot it down, and there was no request to put it on the table to have an independent firm look over what was put together by the transition team. And also I want to know what employees of the township are writing this administrative code that you have talked about. What are their qualifications? Are they getting overtime? Are they doing this after hours? Or are they doing it when they should be working? Any answers?
They're all management, so no,
Does that mean they're qualified?
no management gets overtime.
Okay, but does that mean they're qualified to do that? Just because they're management?
I believe they're qualified to do it, yes.
Okay, my last question. Ms. Morris, have you read the 55-page Government Study Commission booklet? You didn't answer the last meeting.
Please direct all questions to the chairman.
Well, he can't answer for you. And he told you last meeting you could answer, but you didn't. So, did you read it or did you not? Mr. Weber asked you twice. Do you need to get a special dispensation from Mr. Bach? Go ahead, tell her she can answer.
She's free to answer or not answer, Candy. That's how it works.
So are you refusing to answer? You who are working for the people, allegedly, you who were elected, you know, to serve, are you refusing to serve by not answering us? I take that as a no, you did not read the report. Thank you for your time.
Okay, next up we have now we're 5 minutes. Rhiannon Farringer? Rhiannon?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope it's okay. I am referencing my phone. I wrote things down because brain just wants to do things. Hello, my name is Rhiannon, and I am a resident here in Mill Creek. As I'm sure many of you are aware, there is no shortage of concern and blatant disapproval for flock cameras, AOPRs, and any and every other means of mass surveillance out there. And for good reason. Excuse me. You've heard us warn you about how there have been cases of law enforcement current and former, who have used ALPRs to stalk, harass, and attack their ex-partners, or quite frankly, anybody that they deem as a person of interest. As of the time when I have written this, there have been at least 50 confirmed cases of law enforcement officers misusing Flock and other ALPR cameras. While you might just chalk it up to, it's only 50, they're just bad apples, they're outliers, that's 50 too many. The fact is that there will be, and I'm emphasizing there will be, more of these bad apples that will crop up all across the country. If you continue to allow these readers to exist in our township or city or county or wherever, it will happen here too. And I want all of you to understand that responsibility will fall not just on the perpetrator of these crimes, and I would implore all of you to look at me when I say this, it will fall onto you too. And I mean that. That is not a threat. That is the harsh reality. I want all of you to sit with this warning the next time you see on the news of a Texas woman crossing state lines to have a life-saving abortion, being arrested thanks to having 50,000, yes, 50,000 Flock cameras tracking her every move. I want all of you to realize that the next time you see someone just making their commute, wrongfully being stopped at gunpoint in relation to a homicide they had no part in, because the AI in these ALPR and Flock cameras misread their license plate. This happened in Milwaukee. When ICE decides to show up to an asylum seeker's master calendar hearing about their citizenship, and they're kidnapped and taken to either a detention center or God knows where, this is happening all across the country, even as we speak. When there's some deranged individual that decides to hack into these ALPRs, trace them back to any of your residents, and bring you and or your family harm, their blood and their loss will ultimately also fall on you as well if you continue to allow these cameras to be placed here and continue, whatever. Is that harsh? Yes, I understand that. But how about we put these ALPRs in front of all of your places of residence? Put them in public parks and hiking trails where you go for your walks. Put them at Presque Isle on the beaches where you and your family and little ones go swimming on a hot summer day. Why not just have them watch the worst day of your life come crashing down on you because you get a phone call and you just realized you lost a loved one to cancer? I personally wouldn't want that to be recorded for God knows who else wants to look into it. Oh wait, that already happened in Dunwoody, Georgia. Or how about in parking lots or of grocery stores or shopping centers? Ironic enough, Mill Creek Mall and Lowe's come to mind. None of this sounds appealing, does it? Funny that even though there's anywhere from 130,000 to 150,000 Flock cameras and or ALPRs in operation today, yet not a single one of them can find why we have such an uptick in finding strange fruit hanging from trees. As an aside, Black folks do not hang themselves from trees. Back to my original point. Flock CEO Garrett Langley has spoken previously about Flock and other ALPR brands being able to track and read basically every piece of technology on your person or in your vehicle via Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc. Not to mention being able to latch on to your potential dash cams as well. Heck, a private investigator has seen that Langley either covers his own license plate or swaps it out as with another not to be tracked. I hope you all are sitting in uncomfortableness. I want you to be just as uncomfortable, concerned, and quite frankly terrified as the majority of us raising these concerns are. If you truly value not just your safety, but the safety of everybody else in the community, you will terminate every and any existing flock camera and any other ALPR contracts and not allow them to continue to exist. Keep Orwell fiction. And by the way, when we say fuck flock, it's not just about flock.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Dennis McAndrew. As you all know, I am very analog and I'm not into the digital world. I appreciate their passion. And in the same vein, many years ago, seemingly complaining about e-bikes and thought to be crazy, and now being proven unfortunately correct. I hope maybe the township in conjunction with the school district may consider an education process with young people in the school district that under the age of 16 is not legal, and wearing a bike helmet is not safe. It's a false sense of security. Those helmets are designed for bicycles that go 15 miles an hour, not 20, 30, 40 miles an hour. And I want and hope that no one would get, we've been fortunate, no one's been killed in Melkirk Township or severely hurt. Unfortunately, you're seeing more and more about the dangers of e-bike. And I do appreciate the in Melkirk Magazine article. I think we need to continue the education process. Going into the new school year, maybe contacting the school district and saying, hey, e-bikes on school property may not be a good idea. Thank you. Sorry, thank you.
My name is Dave Szymanowski, 823 Oregon Avenue, and of course I'm a Mill Creek resident. First, just two questions, or one. How do you see the video feed? On what channel? How could we watch it? You said you were recording this.
The video feed of the meeting right now?
Yeah. How? If I'm at home, how do I access it?
You go to YouTube, and on the internet, you go to YouTube, and then you can put in Mill Creek Township, and you could even subscribe to our page, and you can view the meeting live while it's being broadcast or after it's
like
over. That's fine. At anyone, yes, that's right, because it's recorded then, and then stays on YouTube. You can look at past meetings. We have our Planning Commission, Zoning Hearing Board, the Transition Advisory Commission, board meeting. So.
Okay, thank you. What was my second one? How do you pre-register to speak if you so want to do it that way?
That's through Megan, our secretary. What method do you prefer, Megan? Is it phone call, email? How do they? Oh, written notice? Written notice 5 days prior to the meeting.
To whom do you send it to?
To Megan Moore, the secretary.
Okay.
So our next meeting is on Tuesday, September 8th at 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
So anytime prior to September 3rd, 5 days prior.
Okay, just in case I ever want to do it that way.
Yes, sir.
I was here back when we did the flock camera, when the representative was here and spoke, and I made a few comments that particular day. Naturally, I'm against the flock cameras. I think it's overkill. I think it's unnecessary. I think there's a lot of false positives. And I do have a statistical background, so I understand, those kind of mechanisms. And I keep on hearing about these certain cases where the people, like one case, they had the same license number, but it was the wrong state. It was the same number, but the wrong state, And so they harassed this individual, but the license was a different person in a different state. Not only that, the one license was for a car, the other license was for a motorcycle, but yet they wound up harassing, the wrong person for it. And also I've heard of weaknesses in when a police or an ICE agent wants to get records and you're supposed to put in the reason, they just put in some nonsense in there. There's no verification of accuracy. So I'm just very concerned about the surveillance state and the necessity of doing it. Like I said, many years ago, I had a break-in and different cameras that were on Walmart because these people also were doing things at Walmart, and that was adequate. And I think this is just so over the top, and with so much surveillance and everything else we're going on, it's just ludicrous to me. But I also mentioned on that particular day that we need oversight of that. Not only do we need oversight, we need rules, regulations, and transparency. And I think it's incumbent upon the three of you to develop rules, regulations, and I would prefer that if they're just gone. But if they're not, to have some oversight, transparency, where the general public can also go in and look at how they're actually using them, and if they're using them in a wrong way or in an inappropriate way. And I would really like to see you folks dig deep into this, and if we don't get rid of them, to develop some oversight. And then the last thing I want to say, after that meeting, you send out a video that representative, provided. I don't know if you sent it out to everyone or just the people that were here that particular night, but there was no corresponding video or talk about the person who's opposed to it. So it's like, in my opinion, you being biased because you were only presenting one side of the story when you send it out to the public.
Okay, sir, we do have to keep moving. You've had you've had your 3 minutes, so.
I'm done. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We need to keep them in fairness to the crowd here.
Yeah, I understand.
Need to keep things moving. Next citizen to be heard.
Hi, Gary Winchell, South Wayside Drive, Erie. I'd just like to address the one individual as someone that's on the school board, that there is a policy in Mill Creek in the school district for e-bikes that they cannot be on school property. If someone's on there, they need to get off and walk those vehicles, especially when there's events going on. There's signs posted, and the resource school officers are well aware of that. And I know they work with Chief Mook to try to enforce that on an ongoing basis. But it's a good idea about the safety. We'll take that back to the safety committee, so maybe there's an educational process that we can incorporate in there with the school resource officers and police department. But there is a policy of no riding any motorized vehicles on any of the school properties.
Okay, good to know.
Thank you very much for being, Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Gary Winchell. He's president of the Mill Creek School Board, for those that do not know. And I just want to say as well, maybe we can chit-chat about bringing in our officer or having one of our officers, maybe Corporal Schallenberger or something, maybe do some education at some of the elementary, middle, and high schools. But yeah, let's have that conversation.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll be the fire department come in all the time.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Christina Orowski, City of Erie. As you all know, I've spoken here a few times about my concerns regarding flock. I continue to return because the technology is just going to keep going. It just continues to expand. So this week, Wired reported on new artificial intelligence system being developed by Flock called OS Investigate. This system goes significantly beyond identifying a license plate associated with the crime. According to the reporting, it can combine vehicle location data with other law enforcement information to analyze patterns of movement, identify vehicles that repeatedly appear together as potential associates, and conduct searches based on locations or behaviors even when police do not begin with a known license plate. I don't think Mill Creek is currently using OS Investigate, because it is still being developed, but I think that's why we should be talking about it now. When communities agree to install license plate readers, I don't think many residents imagine that the company behind those cameras would eventually be developing AI capable of analyzing people's movements and associations. Technology doesn't remain frozen the moment it's purchased. Capabilities expand, systems become interconnected, data collected for one purpose becomes useful for another, and at some point, I think we have to decide where that line is. And then, as you might have seen, there's a growing national scrutiny of Flock. NPR reported this weekend that as communities reconsider their relationship with Flock, competing surveillance companies see an opportunity to replace them, and I think that should give us pause. I do think the Flock cameras need to come down, but if we take them down to replace them with another company system that creates the same surveillance infrastructure, we haven't solved the underlying problem. So I guess at this point, I am once again asking the township to remove the Flock cameras, end participation in shared surveillance networks, pursue meaningful restrictions on these systems, and we should be moving away from the systems built around mass collection, tracking, and sharing of people's movements and towards security measures that protect public safety without creating this kind of surveillance infrastructure. We have an opportunity to establish those boundaries now rather than waiting for technology to establish them for us. Thank you.
Hello, Caleb Rechton, City of Erie. As you may know, I am a software engineer with over a decade of professional experience. What I haven't shared is more of my relevant experience. Software engineering is a large field, but I worked for a startup called GoKid. It's a carpooling app for families coordinating rides to and from school and after-school programs. In this app, I handle geolocation data. This is data that can pinpoint a device's location up to several feet, but the hardware, the device itself, changes the accuracy. After working on this app for years, I worked in a portion of UnitedHealth's Rewards app, where I directly handled biometric data from smartwatches like sleep data and workout data, steps, etc. So I, more than many, am deeply familiar with the technical aspects of the information that is and is not shared from your phone. I share this with you because I hope that this context instills more confidence in the statements that I have made and the concerns that I have expressing about the Flock cameras. The petition continues to grow. We are now over 1,300 verified signatures. More and more people are recognizing the dangers of this system and similar systems. Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee ordered a 60-day statewide pause on the installation and activation of new Flock cameras. People all across the nation, in bipartisan recognition of the devastating implications of a tool that can be updated with new features at a moment's notice without notice to citizens, used by the government or invasive private organizations alike, demand that we collectively move away from subjecting our community to this kind of danger, harm, and violations of our national and state constitutions. We are all obligated to keep our community true to American values of privacy and freedom instead of prioritizing a few negligent business owners and private corporations that want to feed themselves off the data they steal from regular folks who simply want to live their life without having to worry about that they are secretly being stalked without their knowledge. We are not saying that no one is allowed to have cameras. Security cameras are a perfectly mundane but important way for people to protect themselves in many scenarios. But the scale and the details matter. For example, a few firecrackers is perfectly reasonable for someone to have. 100,000 firecrackers and it becomes a different beast. We already have regulations in place that restrict based on the scale of something. You do have the power to make the changes here in this municipality that you need to. We have seen plenty of others doing it, and you have the ACLU model legislation. You have people that will support your decision to stand up for the right thing. Lastly, I think it's important for you as supervisors and for the police department as a whole to understand that you are a consumer of Flock Safety's product. You do not ultimately control these cameras. If this was purely hardware, that would be one thing. If you purchase some self-defense weapons, guns, vehicles, the product is then directly in your hands, and it either works or it doesn't, and this is the main liability you need to be concerned with. But would you ever purchase, let's say, a firearm that could be remotely controlled, changed, enhanced, or limited by a company you purchased from? I think this would rightfully give you pause. Well, that is the situation with these cameras, and data can be a weapon. Let's not play around.
Hello, my name is Larissa Land. I live in the city of Erie. The last time I was here, I named just a handful of women who had been harassed and stalked as a result of these Flock cameras. Of course, since then, this problem has not ceased, as you've already heard. People continue to be targeted by rogue officers using this technology. However, there's a difference from the last time I was here. I have lost some of the faith I had in the Mill Creek supervisors. Since my last visit, I filed a right-to-know request asking for any and all contracts between Mill Creek, Cafaro, and/or Flock Safety. The response I received was the Memorandum of Understanding that was passed in June, as well as the licensing agreement between Mill Creek PD and Cafaro Peach Creek. First, what I'm sure has likely already been brought up here is that according to the licensing agreement, Mill Creek Township Police Department was the initiating party of Flock ALPR installations around Mill Creek. This license agreement states that Mill Creek PD was already installing these cameras around Mill Creek Township and had explicitly requested access to the shopping center grounds for Flock camera installation. This is contradictory to what has previously been publicly implied when the use of private property has been suggested as a reason for failure to protect citizens from warrantless surveillance and data collection. Next, I want to bring up the section that is missing from the Memorandum of Understanding that was provided to me. What was provided is pretty concerning itself, so I can only imagine what was held back. Section 9, ownership. In summary, this section says that Flock owns all data collected by their cameras and that they retain the right to use the foregoing for any purpose in Flock's sole discretion. This continues to say, a different line, different sentence, except as, and then it cuts off. That was section 9, but the next page jumps to section 15.1. That's 5 missing sections in their entirety, but part of section 9 is also missing. And it's pretty interesting that the section of this document that is most concerning in regards to most of the questions and issues raised in this very room is the section that has been cut off. I'm hoping that this was an unintentional oversight rather than an attempt to hide what the township knows is being done with the type of mass surveillance and data collection that has before only been read about in the most dystopian novels. But then again, the US feels more dystopian day by day, in part thanks to legislators and politicians that have decided that we are no longer for the people, by the people, but for the wealthy, by the bought and paid for.
My name's Eric Peterson. I live in Mill Creek. I don't live in the city. What am I thinking? Honestly, I just wanted to go off what she said. You know, this is anti-America. You know, there are lawsuits all over the country about this being a Fourth Amendment right. And Ben Franklin once said, "Those who give up their liberty for a bit of safety deserve neither." And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Switch this up a little bit. Tom Laird, Chair of the Government Transition Committee. I wrote about 14 different things to say tonight, so we'll see what one I'm on here. But wow, I've really struggled with government. It is definitely not the easiest way to get things done. Sometimes I think that's good, sometimes that's not. I think even myself, I find that we tend to argue, more the means than remember the goal. And I think we've kind of found ourselves a little bit in that struggle here, but we really don't have that luxury anymore. So, I think while we have disagreed pretty vehemently of how this thing should be done, tonight you did kind of project what the next steps would be, and I think that there's some things, we don't have that luxury to kind of just keep fighting this. I think we have to kind of roll with the structure that you guys are giving. So I kind of want to play let's make a deal here at the end. But, December 31st is coming very fast. And I think, in all seriousness, that's the date that we all have to get this administrative code done. I know that the township employees have been working on that. That is going to be presented to our committee, I believe, on Wednesday or Thursday of next week. I look forward to speaking with the whole TAC committee, with all three of you before our actual meeting. I know that there'll be a lot of questions that we will have. Again, we're not municipal employees, we're not lawyers, we're not consultants that are experts in this, but we all have read the second class code. We all have looked at those 5 administrative codes that I know everybody has kind of said are the best mirrors. So again, if there's anything specific that you would like us to look at, please point that out. I think we can at least take a peek at that. My goal would be to have a second meeting in September. But again, part of the deal is, we can look at all this. We can try to give you as much feedback as we possibly can, but we still at the end of this would like this kind of, I guess, framework that we have sent out, to have a second view of eyes, to have a consultant look at it, to think of the things that we're not thinking about. I still think that we can get that done by the December 31st date. So again, we're at the point now where this is the structure that we're under. We're going to try our best to work with you with that. But again, I still think it is absolutely vital that that thing goes out at the end. We can have somebody else look at it. And again, I'm sure that we're missing things that we're not thinking about, somebody who's been under this for a while. So again, please, if you could take that into consideration. I look forward to seeing everything and look forward to speaking with you guys next Thursday. Thank you.
If I could real quick, Mr. Laird, and you don't need to come back up, so everyone understands, the statute provides that the council is who adopts this code. So what everyone should understand is that regardless of the code that whatever anybody comes up with, the newly elected council is who passes that code. So they will, whatever gets put together will ultimately be put to them, and they will decide what to keep, what to not keep, what to change, what to not change.
Mark, I think just a couple quick things on that. 100%, it's up to them. That's why I think it's so important to give them the best possible product, so they're not in the weeds when they're starting to just begin. And then, second of all, we know that they're going to vote on it, but I think the public needs to see this. The transition committee needs to agree to it. The board of supervisors need to agree with it. So again, the people that are running, again, is it the final document? No. But we have that framework of what people are running, what they're going to get paid, what the power structure is. That stuff I think needs to be known, understanding that it's not official, but it's the best we possibly can do to get them off the road.
Go ahead, sir. You have 3 minutes.
I'm John Placido, portion of the TAC committee. Just a couple things. Regarding the pay for the new council members, the commission did make a recommendation. The TAC has been asked to make a recommendation on what the new council members will make, stipend, whatever you want to call it. But it is just a recommendation. At the end of the day, the supervisors are going to ultimately determine and pass a resolution on what that would be. So we can give you a recommendation. We hope you take it, but it's certainly up to you to do it. And it needs to be done, honestly, before the end of the year. We need that resolution done by the end of this year for the new council members in 28. So I just want to make that clear, that we can recommend what we think is going to be it. And hopefully next Thursday at our meeting, we are going to do that. We're going to get it finalized. But ultimately, it's going to be your call. And secondly, while I appreciate that we're going to get information for our next meeting next Thursday, giving us 24 hours to look at it is, I'm not sure what we're going to be prepared to tell you, but I think Tom's suggestion that we have another meeting on this in September is going to be the real meat of what we're doing. And getting this RFP out is certainly one of the things that should be considered right now. I haven't heard at any of these meetings that you have approved it or disapproved it. I know you're going a certain way, which, hey, you know, that's your prerogative. But I wish you would address it. And I think it needs to be done, and I hope you feel the same way.
Hi, Julie Hurt. I live in Mill Creek. I feel like we've come here so many times. The citizens who have come consistently to these meetings have made it clear that we do not want to be surveilled by ALPRs in our community. It would be nice if you would listen to us as much as you listen to the person or two who complained about Jake breaks on Route 5, I think it was, that you passed an ordinance to fix. I mean, I respect the Mill Creek Police Department, but the incident with the person at Dunkin' Donuts shows that police officers are human. And all they have to do is make a moment's mistake. And I don't want to be that mistake. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Brown. I didn't plan on speaking today, but I spoke with Larissa earlier today. Larissa is the lady in orange who went and obtained this document. This is the Memorandum of Understanding between Flock Safety and the Mill Creek PD. And I just wanted to go over this because I read this earlier today and I find this really fascinating. So I went over it and we go from definitions to purpose, terms, trial period, to the access rights of flock services, restrictions, service interruption, service suspension, ownership. And we get about 2 lines through, and then there's a cutoff at the end of the page where it says, except as. Page cuts off, and we split over to 15.1, obligations. And at the end of this page is number 16, where it goes through the entire document. This MOU is complete and contains the entire understanding between the parties relating to the provision of flock services, the sharing of captured data, and the confidential information by and between flock and consumer. I got here the understanding between the parties relating to the provision of flock services and the confidential information by and between flock and customer. I'm missing about 6 parts in which it would contain the sharing of captured data. Nothing in this MOU contains the sharing of captured data. If you would like to explain why it is omitted from this MOU, I would really appreciate that. If it was a mistake, we can take that, but I would really want to know why the sharing of captured data part of this MOU, which is half of the document, is omitted.
I can't comment on it at this time. I don't have any of the documents with me.
Okay.
Maybe someone else can then share some information.
provide an answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a copy
State
of
your
the-
name, please.
Thank you, sir. My name is Lydia Caparosa.
Okay, Lydia, go ahead.
I do have a copy of the MOU that was originally proposed as part of the meeting, and it appears that it's just a copying error, because we do have sections 9 that continues with the accept as, and then goes on that, so it just appears to have been there was pages missing. But it was all part of the agreement. I have the original one from the meeting that was approved, so.
So this is the one that they gave to you?
No. Whatever copy was provided to you when it was either scanned in or whatever is just missing the pages when it was printed out. I have the full version of it, and we're happy to provide the full version of it.
Well, I would really appreciate that if you could provide that to me or send it back. Thank you.
Well, I don't have, if you can ask for Megan, the secretary, we can get that, yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Loba, and I'm from Harbor Creek Township, but I grew up here in Mill Creek. At the last monthly meeting, Chairman Bach referred to a previous statement that the township had released on their position on flock cameras. They had stated that the Mill Creek Mall had privately installed them and that there is a contract in place with the Mill Creek Police. And from my understanding, that ends in November, right? The contract with Flock and the police? Or was I misinformed on that? That's okay.
I don't
But I
have any
do
documents
strongly-
in front of me. Whatever you're saying, you're saying.
I understand.
I can't confirm nor deny. I don't have anything in front of me.
Okay. But I do strongly recommend that we do not renew, even if the Mill Creek Mall does not remove these cameras. And I understand in your statement that the township made that it states that there is oversight, but you say, is there any rules in place against them if they overstep? Is there any legal action to be taken against officers that overstep? And I think if there isn't, that we should introduce an ordinance that would at least soothe people to know that there is consequences for abuse of these cameras. But ultimately, ultimately, the goal should be to remove them from Erie in general. I don't know the extent that you guys would have sway over the Cafaro Group or any private body of that matter, but there's no reason that they cannot just have CCTV in those locations if it is just for vehicle-related crimes and investigation. Flock has proven to be untrustworthy and not worthy of doing business with. They have sold information to other bodies without the customer's consent many times, and they will not have a problem doing that here. They claim to roll out new safety practices, but anyone with common sense of any of these companies would know that they are not to be trusted. The Mill Creek Mall is one of the most popular locations in Erie, attracting thousands of people from around our area and even Canada. And every single one of those cameras is collecting the make of their cars, what they look like, the year, and any customizations or anything they could have added to it to identify who's who and when they go. They could be selling that to the highest bidder behind the township's back, whether you guys know it or not. I urge Mill Creek Township and Mill Creek Police to take all legally available steps to permanently terminate its contract with Flock at the earliest possible opportunity to do so, and bring forward ordinance to remove or at least limit Flock cameras from Mill Creek. All of Erie is looking to this. As I stated, the mall is one of the most popular locations in the county, and this has set a precedent. I hope that this council can begin to have some of an open mind to see that this contract does not affect only you and sets the tone for everywhere else in the county. I strongly urge you to listen to all of these people and make steps to change this dangerous precedent.
Any other citizens to be heard this evening?
have to excuse me. Otherwise, I would have wrote down my speech, but I'm just going to be looking at my phone for this. I forgot about the meeting.
Sir, would you state your name?
Yes. Hello. I am Jared Dash of Erie County. I'm here to talk about flock cameras. Before Mrs. Clear held her position in this building, she was my 8th grade English teacher. In her class, we had read The Diary of Anne Frank. One lesson I took from this book is that history is not something we get to rewrite simply because the truth is uncomfortable. Anne Frank's diary is not merely literature. It is a first-hand account of persecution under Nazism, and its authenticity has been extensively examined and established by historians. I bring this up because institutions have a responsibility to remember who they exist to serve, not corporations, not private contractors, not private equity, but the people. The principle matters when we discuss the growing presence of flock surveillance technology in our communities. Flock's own documentation says its systems collect license plate images, vehicle characteristics, dates, times, and camera locations. Flock says its system does not use facial recognition or collect biometric data, but surveillance does not need to identify our faces to become invasive. If the government can record where a vehicle travels, when it travels, and the powerful map of people's movements, this is a danger. It's not hypothetical. The Institute of Justice has documented dozens of cases in which officers are allegedly misused automated license plate readers for stalking, personal investigations, and other unauthorized purposes. In Milwaukee, former officer Ayala pleaded guilty after Flock to search the plate of a romantic partner's ex and her former partner 179 times. That demonstrates something important. And technology can be marked as a tool for public safety, which still creates opportunity for abuse. This contradiction is something we must address. We, the people, should ask ourselves why these systems are being adopted in the first place. When the public institutions increasingly depend on private companies to provide surveillance infrastructure, let alone any other form of infrastructure utilized by the public, we have to ultimately ask ourselves who benefits, who controls the information, and who bears the consequences when the power is abused. We should demand answers. Who can access this data? How long is it retained? Who can search it? Can information be shared with other agencies? What independent oversight exists? These are not paranoid questions, but are questions of democratic control. If an institution truly exists to serve the people, then the public must have a meaningful voice over the power that that institution exercises. Because the people should not have to feed the machine, but instead the machine should serve the people. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Reeves, a Mill Creek resident. Similar to what others before me have said, but I'm going to phrase it a little bit as a thought experiment. Instead of flock cameras, Axon, BlackRock, what have you, imagine there was a person standing there. Person with a camera, just all the time, watching what you're doing. Might make you feel a bit uncomfortable. You kind of wonder, who are they? Why are they there? What are they doing with this information? Who has hired them? Are they being paid to be there? And ultimately, what is the end result of their actions? And I think a lot of people have become way too complacent with the idea of mass surveillance simply because it's an inanimate object. They're not thinking about who's on the other end of that object, who's watching that data, who's recording that data, what that data is being used for. And many have expressed the idea that it shouldn't matter if you're not doing anything wrong, if you're a law-abiding citizen, and that's all well and good until the law changes and those in power decide, well, you were fine yesterday, today not so much. And it's a very concerning precedent. So as others have said before me, I echo that particular sentiment. The cameras need to go. There's no need to surveil people in public. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Hello, my name is Shane Tallberg, and I live in Erie, Pennsylvania. I just have a quick question. How many of you five support flock cameras? How many of you are like pro flock camera? Just raise your hand. Just raise your hand. If you like flock cameras, raise your hand.
I don't know enough about them.
Okay. Would you say that like safety would be your #1 reason for wanting, like potentially wanting a flock camera around? If you were pro flock camera, but none of you raise your hand, so you're all anti flock camera, correct? Yeah, if safety is like your main concern, I think what we could do, my proposal here is let's take all of the flock cameras in Mill Creek and put them in all of your houses. Let's have them just in your houses. That way you can just feel good and have these flock cameras around, because your fear and your cowardice does not mean you get to infringe on my rights or anybody else in this room's rights. If you're that worried about safety, you should all just like wrap yourselves in bubble wrap and put your helmet and elbow and shoulders and knees pads on every time you leave the house. Toughen up. It's a scary world out there, but we don't need like AI surveillance cameras gathering all of our data and using it for who knows what. You know, most of the worst atrocities this country and its billionaire owners commit are committed in the name of safety, and this is one of them. It's ongoing, and yeah, you should all be scared, and if you're taking any money at all for having these cameras around, you should be really ashamed of yourselves. But that's about all I got. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good evening, Jody Shurston. I'm a Mill Creek resident, and I drive past those flock cameras on the corridor of 12th Street 2 days a week, part of my job. And my comments pretty much echo a lot of the same concerns here. The whole personal health and safety. My health and safety are my business, not government's. You don't get to determine what my health and safety is. There's been a lot of people that have done really nice things for me because they thought my health and safety was going to be enhanced by that. And I can tell you that has not been the case 100%. And those are loved ones and friends. Government entities, not so much. Secondly, it is a violation of our constitutional rights. I would say the Quartering Act and the Surveillance Act, because I don't need government in my car when I'm driving. I don't need government surveilling my property. I don't need government peeking into my windows. Now, we talk about the flock cameras that we have mounted, but I'm sure we all have read places where they are now developing drones as flock cameras, and those are not stationary. I do not relish, again, government or private entity or whatever to be following me around on my business. bottom line, you guys were elected by your constituency. Okay, you probably, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, you probably thought this was a good idea, it's really trendy, it's, you know, gonna enhance our community. The constituency is telling you they don't want it. And I think you, as our elected officials, need to take that to heart very seriously. There have been meetings across the country where at the end of the meeting, after this much public comment and less, have just terminated them. You have the power to do that. Your constituency wants that. Please listen. Thank you.
Just a question. I'm Dan Myshinsky, Mill Creek Township. I'd like to know if the Planning Commission has done any planning for any upcoming data centers in the township.
The current zoning amendments have some provisions with respect to data centers. And so, you know, I think those have been published and are available online. They're still in draft form, but those are provisions that would regulate data centers, and they would only be able to be located in the industrial areas. And then there's a variety of other limitations on them as well. So the township has taken action with, or is intending to take action with respect to that.
Okay, so you have like the general framework at the zoning department here?
Yeah, there's a draft zoning, as part of the zoning amendments that were discussed earlier in the meeting that are pending. Those include amendments relating to data centers, yes.
So I would be able to inquire with them.
Yeah, and I believe it's online. I think the draft of the amendments is online, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Attorney Shaw, just to clarify, there is nothing in the existing ordinance right now regulating
Correct.
data centers.
Currently, neither the subdivision land development ordinance nor the zoning ordinance calls out or specifies data centers. So, if someone had, at this point, because there's a draft amendment, they probably are foreclosed. But if someone had 6 months ago come in and wanted to put a data center in, we might have had some difficulty saying they couldn't go in certain locations.
Any other citizens to be heard?
Hi, Grace Trott of Mill Creek Township. This is actually my first meeting today. So I'd like to add on to some of my community members' points about flock cameras and compare flock surveillance to a similar form of automated flagging. I've personally received multiple incorrect Easy Pass tolls for cars that appear nothing like my vehicle. For example, like I had a white sedan, and I would receive tolls for dark vans or dark trucks. And these vehicles clearly look nothing like my vehicle, but they're still flagged in an automated system as my vehicle. In systems like this, like Easy Pass, they operate on guilty until proven innocent logic, where you're required to send proof of documentation that your vehicle is different than what they have captured in their images, or else you face increased penalties and ultimately legal consequences. Well, this is clearly an unfair practice. Imagine the scenario where the consequences to being an innocent civilian weren't just incorrect charges, but instead misinformed police response. In Little Rock, Arkansas, a woman by the name of Demetria Hurd was driving her car to a basketball tournament when she was pulled over at gunpoint by police officers. Alongside her was her husband Myron, her 13-year-old son, and her 12-year-old nephew. This was due to a mistaken flag on her vehicle created by flock cameras, which misidentified her vehicle as a stolen vehicle. During this time, it took police nearly 7 minutes before holstering their weapons. and that's 7 minutes of children being held at gunpoint. And while the family got out of the situation safely, that situation could have ended much worse. Flock cameras can introduce this horror story from Little Rock, Arkansas to Erie, Pennsylvania. And as similar to a software engineer that spoke earlier today, I'm a mechanical engineer with 6 years of experience, where most of my background is in additive manufacturing and prototyping. So I'm aware of all the mistakes that come when introducing new technologies. Unfortunately, with an increased use of flock cameras, we'll be sliding into a surveillance state where we'd be treated as guilty while needing to prove our innocence, and which is reliant on the accuracy and ethics of a private for-profit company. I ask you to recognize the conflicting priorities a company may have if they're incentivized to charge civilians, and with increasing installation and use of flock cameras, families being held at gunpoint will become more widespread. And I also ask you to consider the ramifications of increasing these scenarios within our community. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak this evening? Okay, hearing no more speakers, we'll go to number 15 on our agenda, which is the adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, I'll call for a vote on adjournment. Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Morris?
Yes.
I vote yes. We are adjourned at 8:16 p.m.